This was me in 2013, weighing in at over 300 pounds. And this was me in 2014, exactly 1 year later, having lost over 100 pounds. You might look at these photos and think, wow, what an insanely successful diet. But to be honest with you, it wasn't that successful because I gained the weight back and then lost it again. And then repeated that cycle for a few more times until 2019 when finally something clicked. After losing a lot of weight then, I managed to maintain a similar weight over the last 4 years, even through a global lockdown and some training injuries along the way. So today I want to share what I ate both way back then in 2013 and what I ate a bit more recently to help me lose over 100 pounds and keep the weight off. And I'll also share some of the realizations I've had just failing a bunch of diets along the way that helped me reach that aha moment back in 2019 that effectively changed my life. So without further ado, let's get into our first meal of the day. Okay, so first things first, I'm gonna start my day with a protein shake that's just protein powder and water. So back in the day, I avoided milk and even nut milks like the plague because I thought that any carbohydrate or fat was gonna be bad for me. And I only wanted protein. So the easiest way to get that in the morning, protein shake. I have this super nice boba tea protein that I ordered from the States. It actually kind of tastes like milk tea, but actually I should check. Ooh, this has coconut oil creamer. That's probably why it tastes so good. I've only ever made this one with milk, and coconut milk specifically, but it does have coconut oil creamer. So I probably, yeah, I can't have this.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. Protein secured. I've actually never used this one before, but it actually looks okay. So this one has basically 0 grams of fat and 0 grams of carb, and that's what I'd be looking for in protein before. I'd also always look for whey protein isolate because that doesn't really contain lactose, and it's basically the isolated form of protein that is fast absorbing. So yeah, I haven't seen one of these in a long time, so this will be fun. Oh my god. Oh, it smells incredible. Smells like my youth. Gotta make sure that shit is rounded off. You know, gotta look at that, nice and clean. 2 scoops is what we're going for here. So fill this up with water. Luckily, we always kept these protein shaker balls around to mix the protein in smoothly. And away we go. So thin. It's so thin. Yeah, so I'm not gonna lie, it smells really good. It just looks so thin, because normally when we do this now, we'll sort of put in coconut milk or almond milk in my case, and this is just, yeah, it's quite something, so cheers. That's really sweet. It tastes good. It's just sweet and very thin. I'm not gonna lie. I actually have like mild PTSD drinking this because I think thin protein shakes just remind me of that time when I was barely eating anything. So 2 scoops of this protein is exactly 240 calories, which is all protein pretty much. Usually this would carry me through to like the afternoon, around lunchtime or whatever, and that's when I'd have lunch. So I'm not gonna lie, I don't think this is gonna be enough for me, so we'll probably get to lunch pretty soon after this. There we go, all done. So that's it for breakfast. I'm gonna go get a bit of work done and we'll come back when I inevitably get very hungry and want to start making lunch. So lunchtime, I am starving because, surprise, that protein shake didn't really carry me too far. But I am gonna have a lunch of chicken tenderloins. So this is something that I used to have very often because I didn't really know how to cook that well when I was younger. And I didn't really understand how to cook a chicken breast properly without an oven. So tenderloins are really easy because they were sort of, you know, thin strips, they were small. You just throw them into a pan and it was really hard to mess them up. So this whole package is about 500 grams and I'm gonna have the whole thing because again, for lunch, this is all I'm having because protein, 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 nothing else really matters apparently. So there we go. A touch over on that last one. So I'm just measuring out the oil because I used to be really conscious about not using too much. I have exactly 3 teaspoons here, which is not a ton. I mean, it's a decent amount, but it's not a ton given that I'm making, you know, a whole thing of chicken tenderloins. But I used to be very conscious about the amount of fat that I was eating because, again, I was super just against eating fat and against eating carbohydrates, and I thought protein, 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 that's the only thing that matters. And yeah. Okay, so we have a little bit of a his and hers situation going on. Are you excited for your lunch?
Yes. Not so excited looking at yours.
Honestly, it doesn't look bad. It's just the fact that there's nothing else there. It just looks like part of a meal, you know? The only saving grace that I ever had back then was hot sauce. So I'm having the Secret Aardvark, which I really like, but it's always been 0 calorie and sort of very, you know, flavorful. So when I got bored of eating chicken, which was basically all the time, I would just put hot sauce on it and it would sort of save the day. So there you go. That's really good.
Well, I mean, you cook them well on the cast iron.
What's not so fun is when you're eating this every day, right? So I think it should hopefully go without saying, but I'm not advocating for people to eat this way. It's more one of those things where I'm kind of taking a trip down memory lane and remembering what I used to do, which was really not very healthy, not good for me mentally, because it just sort of felt like all I could eat all day was just chicken and watery protein shakes. And I mean, this is pretty much all it ever was. You know, occasionally I'd have a salad with just leaves and a bit of vinegar and mustard. I didn't even put any oil in that because I was afraid of the calories and stuff, but you know, it was just this over and over again, and I felt really miserable all the time. I would occasionally have a cheat day where I'd eat, you know, pretty much anything I sort of felt like, a big bowl of noodles or, you know, a big pizza kind of thing, some ice cream, but aside from that, it was mostly just this, just a lot of chicken. I actually found this old photo, which is really cute, of my mom helping me prepare chicken tenders, and you can see that she put a bowl of bone broth next to it because I think she was concerned because I would insist that all I wanted to eat was chicken and nothing else. And I think she made me the broth because she was genuinely worried about me, which I think is very sweet. So shout out to my mom. I love you. You're great. Thanks for taking care of me even when I was being a degenerate college student. Okay, I just had my 4th piece. It was getting dry and kind of, you know, the hot sauce is gonna need to come in and save the day now. That's good, not better.
What's for dinner?
Not this. So that's the whole plate done. There we go. It started off quite nice. I actually kind of missed the taste of just, you know, pan-seared chicken tenderloins, but definitely at the end of that, it was pretty rough. So back then, the rest of the day would look pretty much the same. I'd just be having watery protein shakes and chicken tenderloins. So to mix things up, I'm gonna show you guys what I did the last time I lost weight and how that was way more sustainable. So this afternoon, we're gonna hit the gym, and I'm also gonna show you guys how I make a protein shake now and how we typically have meals now, which is, I can guarantee you, a little bit more balanced than chicken tenders. Than usual. I think that'll happen if you eat nothing but a watery protein shake and chicken. Okay, we're home now. It's time for my 2nd shake of the day. So I'm gonna make this one the way that I normally make shakes now, which is a little bit better than just water and protein powder. So first off, we're gonna start off with some coconut milk because coconut milk is delicious. I do kind of cycle between different nut milks. So sometimes I like almond, sometimes I go with coconut. The only one that I actually really like, but I try not to have, is oat milk, which I know is gonna offend some people, but the problem with oat milk is that almost every single brand I've found uses canola oil as the fat in the milk, and I'm not a really big fan of seed oils generally, so not a huge fan of that, but coconut is delicious, it's great. I find almond really good too, so those are the go-tos. And I also like to put some frozen fruits in there as well. So frozen mango and some frozen blueberry, which I think will work really nice in this. So the pro tip with this is actually to always blend it first, because if you blend it with the protein powder, it tends to get overly frothy and a little bit too airy, which I don't really like. So I tend to blend this first and then I add the protein powder after and give it another little blitz. Getting out the boba tea protein.
So the lip is so small. Thank you. Nice assist. Very smooth. Oh, that's about right. Okay, I am unreasonably excited to try this, so. Oh, that's so good. I could cry. It doesn't taste like a protein shake, you know? It's like a smoothie. It's like a milk tea smoothie, which is really, really nice. And I mean, I don't have protein shakes that often these days anymore, to be honest. Like, it's only really if I feel like I've had a meal where I'm kind of lacking on protein a little bit, or if I just sort of feel like, you know, my energy expenditure has been really high one day and I want to supplement with something, but I don't want to cook a full meal, you know, this is kind of my go-to when I want something like that, because I prefer having a beverage rather than having like a snack or something, you know. I think it actually tastes like 10 times better because all I've had today is a water protein shake and chicken tenders. This is really good. All right, so I'm gonna polish this off. I got a bit of cleaning to do in the kitchen, and then I'm gonna start prepping dinner, which is gonna be a bit of lamb and whatever we have in the fridge. So, see you then. Okay, so dinner time. I'm feeling a lot better already just after that shake. I think the only eating protein thing, it reminded me actually how slow it made me feel, which is fascinating because I haven't actually felt like that for a while. But I don't even mean like physically, I just mean mentally. You know, I was really sort of feeling like everything took me a little while to process, and that's only after one half day of eating like that, which is pretty crazy. So I'm excited to get back into something nice and nutritious and delicious. So dinner's gonna be pretty simple. It's literally just gonna be these three things. I'm gonna make a couple of lamb steaks. We have some grass-fed lamb here, which is really nice. We have some broccolini, and we have a very large organic sweet potato that I'll probably pop into the oven. So nice and simple with this. I'm gonna add some really high quality fats in here, probably marinate the lamb in maybe a bit of anchovy and olive oil, and a bit of garlic, and I think that'll taste real nice. So I'm excited to get into it. All right, so it's time for dinner. So what we have is some lamb leg steak with a roasted sweet potato and some broccolini that we did in the pan. So this is the kind of meal that honestly I used to sort of feel like was almost cheating because it didn't really feel like diet food. But to be honest, the reality of it is there's really nothing wrong with this. You know, it's a balanced meal. It has protein, there's a bit of carbohydrate, and there's a decent amount of fat, all coming from really good sources. You know, this is grass-fed lamb. We use some grass-fed butter, avocado oil, and a bit of olive oil. So it's all good stuff. This is typically the kind of dinner that we have these days, and you know, just get something on the plate that looks a little bit more vibrant, that sort of makes us feel really nourished. That's bomb. I need a touch more salt. So in 2019, I basically made a commitment to be a little bit more conscious about eating more whole foods and just not having so much processed stuff in my diet. And I found that actually made a really huge difference. You know, if you look at this meal, we started from 3 very simple items in our kitchen, and we were able to throw it together relatively quickly, you know, into something that I think is really nice. And it's almost like, it's enjoyable to just look at the plate and see all these delicious foods on the plate. And I mean, on top of that, it doesn't just look good, but it tastes amazing too. And I think that's the big thing, is that when we eat food like this, we feel nourished, we feel full, we feel really good. I'm not thinking about food all the time, versus when I was having the water protein shakes and the chicken tenders, I couldn't really stop thinking about food all the time. And I remember I had a buddy who I was doing bodybuilding training with, and he was on a really strict diet at the time. He sort of kept an app open on his phone where he'd record every single food that he was craving. And his whole thing was like, yeah, when I'm done this big cut, when I'm done this competition, I'm gonna go and eat all these foods, you know? And we sort of joked together about how we were always thinking about food. And I think it's kind of almost this slow form of torture when you're going through that. I think
eating in a way that allows you to feel nourished and feel really good and really enjoy the food you're eating is actually a really big part of the whole diet process, which is something that I kind of realized. I mean, even now too, like when I think about, oh, I'm getting a little bit round around the middle, like I want to, drop some weight, it's kind of that urgency, that sense of like, oh, I want to lose it as fast as possible. But I think just going through the process of so many different diets and eventually evolving to the point where I feel very comfortable eating something like this, knowing that I'm still in a calorie deficit, knowing that I'm still able to manage my weight, that kind of thing is super helpful because it means that you don't need to do these crazy crash diets and you kind of have a basis of, a way to eat that will help you lose weight. All right, that's dinner done with. I'm feeling a hell of a lot better than I was feeling after the chicken tenders. So I'm gonna very quickly wash up, have a quick shower, grab a cup of herbal tea, and share some closing thoughts with you guys before we wrap up the video.
Alright guys, before we get into it and wrap things up, I want to let you guys know that there's a newsletter we've been working on for quite some time now that we're going to launch soon. In it, we're going to have some of our favorite healthy meal prep recipes, as well as some deeper dives into the various topics we cover on this channel, so make sure to drop your email at the link below to get the very first issue in your inbox directly. Now for some reflections on the day. So I'll reiterate here once again that I'm not at all suggesting that you should be having only protein shakes and chicken tenders to lose weight. Kind of the opposite actually. While it's true that I lost a lot of weight on that diet, I did also lose a lot of weight eating the way that we did at dinner. And while it's true that I lost weight quicker eating a protein-only diet, it's super not worth it because I was miserable pretty much the entire time, and it's definitely not sustainable. And that brings me to my first reflection, which is that it's important to focus on the journey and not just the destination, which is kind of a fancy way of saying that it's probably not best to be so goal-oriented and instead to focus on the process a little bit more. If the goal is just to lose weight quickly, then yeah, there are a lot of ways to get there, but most of them are going to be super miserable and they're not going to be at all sustainable. And if you're anything like me, you're going to go through that whole process, and once you lose the weight and hit that goal weight of yours, you'll gain it all back. On the flip side, if the focus is on the process and incorporating healthier foods and just better eating generally, then those habits tend to stick, and it's not really just about hitting that goal weight and then having everything fail. It's a lot more sustainable in the long run. Secondly, it's also worth mentioning that we don't cook every single meal we eat, so the dinner we had is more of a reflection of the way that we think about food. We try to fill our diet with whole foods that are minimally processed that make us feel really good after we've eaten them, as opposed to things that might taste really good in the moment but make you feel like crap after. Usually that revolves around getting a high quality source of protein and some good quality fats and kind of supplementing with anything else that we think we need at the time or our bodies just happen to be craving. It's deliberately kept a bit flexible that way so that we can accommodate for any kind of situation or just any way that we're feeling at the time. Which brings me to my third and final point, which is that sustainability is really king when talking about diets, and it's really important to have that level of flexibility to cater for everyone's individual preferences. I'll give you an example to explain. So I think that everybody has certain comfort foods or things that they just really like to eat that if you remove those things from their diet, they would feel awful or miserable or just generally not be very happy. For me, that's ice cream. So if you said to me that I could never have ice cream again, I think I'd be really upset, and I think I'd feel like something was missing in my life. But at the same time, if you told me that I could never have a cookie, a brownie, a pie, or even most types of cake, I wouldn't really care. Our diet now is kept deliberately flexible to allow for some treats every now and then without really feeling so bad about it, like we're breaking our diet or we're doing something really horrible to ourselves, it's just enjoying something that we love. Now, of course, we didn't have any dessert today after dinner, but again, I don't have those big protein shakes every day either. It really depends on the day and my activity levels and just how I'm feeling and generally what I'm doing that kind of dictates what I eat. So again, I just kind of play it by ear, make sure I get my good quality proteins, my high quality fats, and just supplement it with what I feel like I need or whatever it is I'm craving. As always, let us know in the comments if there's anything in this video that resonated with you or if you have your own experience with weight loss and dieting. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing for more, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.